Chapter 13. Friends, it's called Early Morning. Within the log, but not too far from its entrance, Poppy found herself a soft place to sleep. There, curled up in a tight ball with her tail tip parked right below her nose, she felt safe enough to sleep. When she awoke after a long, sound slumber, it was dark and quiet. She got up slowly and stretched her aching muscles, then looked about for some signs of Aerith. The old porcupine was nowhere to be seen. Was he gone for good? Not likely, Poppy knew, but he might have been gone for hours. She also knew that she was hungry. Cautiously, she made her way to the log's opening. It was night, and she could see neither sky nor stars. A silver sheen of moonlight made lace of the canopy of trees above, even while transforming the ground into a carpet of velvet gray. She sniffed the air. Mingled with a sharp scent of pine and fir, she breathed, again, those are trees. She breathed in hints of good things to eat, nuts and berries, seeds, fragrant flowers, tender roots. There were sounds, too. The creak and the groan of trees, the sudden, shrill cries of animals, the occasional fuzz-buzz of passing bugs. Poppy could only feel astonishment. This was not Dimwood, the forbidding. This was Dimwood, the beautiful and luxuriant world that seemed rich with life, a universe that held more than she had ever seen or dreamed of, a paradise that filled her with an almost aching desire to dance through it and see more. Trembling with excitement, Poppy was about to take a step away from the log when she chanced to look up. Here she is. Here we go. On the gray, lifeless tree with a hole on its side, an acorn tossed from where she was, meaning an acorn tossed so that she could throw an acorn and toss it to the tree, so it was that close. There she was perched a brooding owl. The moment she saw the owl, Poppy darted back into the safety of the log. There she stayed, her heart thudding. Had the owl seen her? She did not think so. But could it in fact be Mr. Oakhex? If it was, how could he have tracked her? But perhaps this was another owl. Oh, she had to know. In any case, her elation was gone. The forest was not to be for her. She sighed at the fright that she felt. Poppy tried to calm herself. First she pondered over her discovery that Mr. Oakhex had lied about porcupines. At least she did not have to be frightened about them. In spite of herself, she giggled when she thought about Aerith. Such a likable, unlikable creature. Don't you love the word choice the author used there? That's pretty cool. Then she thought of what else Aerith had told her, that Mr. Oakhex was actually afraid of porcupines. The notion that the owl was afraid of anything gave Poppy considerable pleasure. Perhaps he was afraid of other things as well. So Poppy thought again about her suspicion that there was something at the new house that alarmed the owl. Oh, if only there was, and if only she could find it. Feeling more hopeful, Poppy returned to the log's threshold to wait for Aerith. She wanted to take another look at the owl, but was afraid to. Instead, she sat, content for the moment to gaze out at the beautiful forest. The owl Poppy had seen was indeed Mr. Oakhex. He was perched upon the entrance to his home, flexing his sharp talons and staring gloomily into the forest. Now and again he swiveled his head and blinked. He clacked his beak. Hungry, he wished that something, anything, would reveal itself by moving. Once, just out of the corner of his eye, he thought he saw something moving at the entrance to the old log that lay not far from where was his snag. But it was gone so fast that he could not be sure. Was it the porcupine? Oh, he hoped not. He hated Aerith. Just the thought of him made Mr. Oakex drop down inside of his nest. Better to sit in darkness and listen than deal with that creature. If something came by, he would hear it. "When are you leaving for Newhouse?" Aerith asked Poppy. The old porcupine had made his way back to the hollow tree before sunup. Bits of bark were stuck out of his lips and chin and whiskers. "Soon," Poppy replied evasively. "Good," Aerith said. "You're a sweet kid, but I like my privacy." And here's a picture. Oops, sorry. "Aerith," Poppy began after a moment, "I know you want me to go, and I want to go too, but when I looked out before, I think I saw an owl." "On that snag just up beyond my door?" asked Aerith. "The what?" "The old tree with the broken top." Poppy nodded. "There was an owl sitting there," she said. "I was told Mr. Oakex lived in Dimwood. Could that be him?" Aerith snorted. "Follow me." Somewhat anxiously, Poppy trailed the porcupine out of the log. "That the snag you're talking about?" he said, pointing. "Yes, it is." "Well then, that's where Mr. Oakex lives." Poppy jumped back. "There?" "Absolutely." "Don't you mind?" Poppy whispered, edging closer to Aerith. "Nah. He's nothing. He doesn't mean anything. Anyways, he doesn't get near me." But he rules the whole territory." Here's another picture. Him? Rule? Oh, maggot's milk. But that's not true?" Poppy asked. "Poppy," Aerith snorted. "There are lots of creatures who live around here. Some are mean, like Mr. Oakex. Some are sweet, like me. Nobody rules." But he says he does." "Oh, that's foolish. Just because you're scared of somebody doesn't mean you have to believe him." Aerith turned toward the stag. "Oakex!" he bellowed. "Oakex!" "No!" Poppy cried. "Don't!" But it was too late. Mr. Oakex popped up out of his snag hole. In a panic, Poppy scrambled to hide beneath Aerith's tail. "What do you want?" Mr. Oakex demanded. "I've got a mouse here by the name of Poppy, who says that you've been calling yourself ruler of Dimwood. That true?" Instead of answering, Mr. Oakex shifted his head, trying to catch a glimpse of Poppy. When he saw her timidly peeking around Aerith's tail, he jutted his head forward, opened his wide eye, and hissed. Aerith laughed. "She also told me that you claimed porcupines eat mice, that you protect them from me. Oakex, do you believe that garbage? Or do you just like the way it tastes in your mouth when you say it? When you lie?" Suddenly, Mr. Oakex's eyes narrowed. "Where did you get that earring, girl?" he shrieked at Poppy. "That's something I ate." Poppy became so frightened that she began to back up. "What I eat is mine, girl, mine," Mr. Oakex screamed. "Listen here, Oakex," Aerith snapped. "This mouse has as much right as you do to go and do what she wants to do. I don't want you messing with her. Have you got me?" But Mr. Oakex, ignoring Aerith, only cried out, "Poppy, listen to me. I don't know what you're doing here, but you might as well know. The only way you'll ever get back to Gray House is when I dump your dead carcass on your father's front porch." And with that, he clacked his beak, then dropped down inside the tree. Alarmed and furious, Poppy ran forward and began beating her clenched paws on Aerith's nose. "You lummox," she cried. "You lump, you rattling pincushion." But the porcupine only grinned. "Why did you tell him about me?" Poppy shouted. "Didn't you hear what he said? He's going to kill me." "Oh, he's nothing but feathers. He doesn't bother me." "But you've got quills," Poppy protested. "I don't." "Jealousy doesn't become you, girl." "Aerith," Poppy implored, "I have to get to Newhouse. It's a matter of keeping my family alive." "You're pretty small to be a heroine." Poppy looked down at her toes. "That's not the only reason I'm going." "Oh? Well, it's also because of Ragweed." "Who?" "Ragweed. Ragweed, he was my friend," she sniffled. "See, he wanted me to marry him atop Bannock Hill. He was going to ask me. He said it was the most romantic spot around. I didn't want to marry him, so I said I'd go, but only after asking permission of Mr. Oakhacks. That's the rule. But Ragweed said where there's romance, where's the romance when you have to ask permission? So instead, we went without asking. When Ragweed and I got to the top, he did ask me to marry him. But before I could answer, Mr. Oakhacks killed him. Then later the owl said it was because of Ragweed and I that we went to the hill without permission, that my family couldn't move to Newhouse. When they heard about that, a lot of them, well, most of them, blamed me." Poppy pushed the tears away. "So you see, I'm going to Newhouse to prove that our being on the hill had nothing to do with Oakhacks' refusal. If I don't prove it, my family can't go to Newhouse and we'll be ruined. I'll be ruined. So I have to go. Only now you've told Mr. Oakhacks that I'm still here. So he'll follow me and he'll keep me from finding out the truth. You've now got to come with me." Aerith shook his head. "Oh, sorry, kid. This is your business, not mine. Anyway, I need to get some sleep." Yawning, Aerith turned and began to move toward the log. "Aerith!" Poppy cried out. "If you got me to Newhouse, I'd get that salt for you." Aerith stopped short and spun about. A dreamy look filled in his eyes. "The salt lick? From the Newhouse? The whole thing? You would? Really?" Poppy placed her paw over her heart. "I swear. I promise." Aerith grinned. "Well, now you're talking, girl. Let's move it." And without a moment's hesitation, he began to lumber through the woods. Poppy took one look at the snag in the dawn light and then tore after the porcupine. The two of them had barely gone when Mr. Oakhacks popped out of his hole. Having heard the entire conversation, he wasn't sure which way he felt anymore, fury or fear. But he did know that he had to stop Poppy. He launched himself up into the air. And that was the picture that you just saw. That's the end of our chapter.